Okay, let me shift the gears for a moment and clarify some federal boundaries. I mean, what about a 14-year-old law that allows U.S. authorities, and this is perhaps, Brett, you can handle it, to charge citizens with atrocities committed abroad? And is the immigration officer responsible for keeping track of such citizens, or is the FBI, does the FBI maintain some responsibility? I'm talking in particular about India's Commerce Minister, Commonwealth, and he was invited to speak at Northwestern University on May 20th, and he had led a mob of 4,000 people that engaged in Sikh genocide in India in 1984. And it's a well-documented case, and if such perpetrators come to U.S., they could create chaos among the Sikh community. Who is responsible? Should the FBI get involved in cases beforehand, or the immigration officers to not grant them the visa coming to the United States? What's your thought on that?
Immigration, that does not fall into the jurisdiction of the FBI. Again, like you mentioned, that's going to be the Immigration Service. But it also helps if we have a relationship, any information that you can share with us. We don't point it back and say, okay, you need to talk with immigrations. What we do, out of Office of Public Affairs, we will put you in contact with the right people, or we will invite them to attend a meeting with the community leaders to address such issues. So in the past, what it has been is government has been very segmented. Whether it's through name checks, those types of issues have come up before. You may have the Immigration Service say, well, it's an FBI problem, or FBI may say it's an immigration problem. What we've done, and we found to be very successful, is we bring all of our governor partners and put them in a room to be accountable for issues such as what you just described. One of the things I want to mention, kind of going back to how do we get the message out, is through the Department of Justice, we also have interagency meetings with various national organizations that represent a variety of different communities. So a lot of the issues and concerns we're very familiar with, because we meet every 5 to 6 weeks as well. And they bring those issues, they bring the concerns, and we actually put them in contact with the right people. We'll take any of those issues and concerns and make sure that there's an answer that we can bring back to the table. So that's one way that we're engaging the community and getting the message out.
Yes.
Cynthia and Brett, I'm very thankful to you that you've been doing great justice to all the questions and educating us on different situations. I have two little questions quickly I'm going to ask you. Number one, that is this the case, proper case, that you can step in and get involved and reopen the case and start your own investigation. Second thing is that our lawyer, which the family hired, is a law expert, but still it's your department, FBI, and nobody knows better than you do. You have some good suggestions for him how to coordinate with different agencies and how to handle this case very properly and very effectively. Thank you.
Something tells me that the Singh family probably hired an extremely competent attorney, so I don't think he needs advice from me on how to handle his civil suit. The first question was, can we reopen a case that's been closed? If it falls under FBI jurisdiction, if we have probable cause to believe that a statute that we work under has been violated, absolutely we can open a closed matter, for example. In fact, one of the best examples of that is our cold case initiative, where we have gone back to unsolved hate crimes that occurred in the 40s and 50s and 60s that have since been closed for generations, to reopen those cases and see if we now can bring the parties who were responsible for those hate crimes to justice now so many years later. So yes, we can reopen a case in the right circumstances.
Stephen Sunder again, and I am a lawyer, and we are seeking to investigate. But it's very difficult to investigate a case when your forensic experts are denied access to the clothing that the victim wore on the night of the death, not to look at the physical evidence that was gathered, not to see the photographs that were taken. As an expert, and as you know, individual families often lack the resources to pursue matters where police departments recalcitrant, prosecutors are recalcitrant, where they hide evidence or refuse to produce it, or there's spoliation of evidence. Is it not a civil rights violation for a police department or a prosecutor's department, after they've determined there is no crime, after they've determined they're not going to prosecute anyone, is it not a civil rights violation to return the property to the deceased family so they can have their own experts look at the evidence? I mean, when you're holding physical evidence and statements are taken at the time, how can you successfully investigate if you have no access? Because the police say once they get it, it's privileged. You can't see it. You can't have it returned to you. Is that not a civil rights violation?
I would hope that if you have a civil lawsuit pending in this matter, if you are going to pursue that, and I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't, that's within your discretion, but if you would choose to do that, I would hope, or I would assume, that you can get the evidence that you need through your subpoena power as part of your civil lawsuit. So I guess that's one issue. The second issue is, and again, I think we've talked about this earlier, is it a civil rights matter if the police department refuses to turn over the clothes? It may or may not be. I can't really comment on the specifics of that case because I only know what you're telling me, and I believe what you're telling me, but I don't know what the police department would tell me if they were sitting next to you. So I only have a limited set of facts. I'm a little hesitant to give you an opinion or give you a comment with just one part of the story. But again, I would encourage you to work with our Washington field office and with the agent that you spoke with, ma'am, to include those issues as part of your discussion with her.
Just to give you an idea, I mean, I know the community recognizes the FBI is the most trusted law enforcement agency, and just to give you an idea of the community, I mean, this is a very affluent community comprised of doctors, engineers, industrialists, and human rights activists, and their sense of justice is and persistence in seeking justice is ingrained in their blood. And some of these cases they are talking about have been as old as 2 years or 3 years, and they are still very active about that. We have one more question, and then we are going to have a closure.
I just wanted to say that we community came from India, or the Muslim community came from third world countries. There the relationship of citizen with the police is totally different. You are afraid to approach the police. So you always are afraid of talking to them because they will get back on you. When he came here to this country, he said, it's beautiful. You can approach the police officer for help. He is not your enemy. That was the thought in my mind all the time. But when I heard this case, that started shaking my thought that maybe police in this country also is similar to the police in a third world country. But when I attended the FBI 101 and your willingness to come and face the question from the community, that idea has strengthened my views that we are not in a third world country. It is a beautiful democracy in the world, which is a shining spot in the world, and you are proving that. And I appreciate your coming here and facing the difficult questions that people are asking, and I thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's all the time we have. We'll bring you another edition of Passion for Truth next Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Brett. Thank you,
Thank you.
Cynthia.
Very welcome.
Thank you for coming.